Hi, this is 365801, and this is my second video for 30 in 30 in November. So I have already done the first 10 books. This was the first 10 books here. I'm going to see if I can do another 10 and then upload. So I have 4 here. I've just went into my June manga drawer and pulled out a selection. Now, I know I've read Same Difference, but it was such a long time ago. I don't think I've marked it down as I've read. Maybe I have, but I think it's deserving of a reread. And I think I've read Honey Smile maybe last year or the year before. It's been a while. I should probably read it and be like, okay, put that down as a read. These two I know I have not read, Yakuza Cafe and Endless Comfort. So I'm going to see if I can read some June manga titles to start with for this little mini vlog. So I'll check in when I've had a wee read of these titles. Okay, so my mail came yesterday, but it was very, very grey, and there was a man with a leaf blower right inside my door. So I decided to, there was no point in filming because it would have looked quite bad and you wouldn't be able to hear anything. So I decided to film this little haul today. And I don't know exactly, but I think I know what this is. And if it is what I think, then it's very special. But I'm not entirely sure what this is, but I have a kind of inkling about it. So we're going to open this one first, just to see what it is. Hopefully it's okay. Whatever it is. Oh, I think I know what it is. Yes. So there we are. I have been meaning to get the rest of the series for a while. I managed to pick up volume 4 fairly recently for only $6.99. It wasn't the special limited edition. Those are a bit more expensive, but for $6.99 I was quite happy with it. But I hadn't picked up these two yet, and I managed to get them for just over £7. I think they were £7 something, and that's actually really good in the UK to get for these two, especially because volume 1 almost as soon as it was released disappeared because you couldn't get it in the shops for love nor money, and you couldn't get it online because it's so risque that Amazon just deleted it and said, nope, we're not selling this. So I'm very, very happy to have volume 1 of Yarichin Beach Club by Ogoretsu Tanaka and volume 3 of Yarichin Beach Club, which means I now have the full complete set. I picked up volume 2 in 2020 when it was released, maybe around May, I think. And so it's been a while since I managed to pick them all up. This one is very thick and I'm very happy to have it. So I can actually read the series. It's complete in 4 volumes. And I'm very happy because this was a 2019 release. And in 2019, I had for the longest time just 4th generation head to get, and I managed to get that a while ago, about a year and a half ago or something. And this was the last 2019 volume that I needed to collect from Sublime. And I made my list in, hold on a second, in my little pink book. This is where I made my my little list of books that I wanted to get, and in here was the Sublime ones, and it hadn't been released yet because I did this list in September or October in 2019, and then this was released in the December. And I have been focusing on out of print rather than the newer releases, but I feel good that I'm at least up to 2020 now, so I just need to go and look at 2020 and see what ones I'm missing and add them to my wish list. But yeah, it's really good that I've got this. Now means I can sit and and read this. Maybe Katie would want to do a buddy read with me, because I have a complete set. Yay! And it's always good to have a complete set. So I'm very happy to have these 2 volumes. Okay, now let's have a look at the one that I think is actually very special, and I'm getting quite excited about it because I think I know what this is. And if it is, then it's very special. And it will mean a lot to me. Maybe because I'm feeling a bit emotional today anyway. I'm feeling like, oh, is this what I think it is? And if it is, then I'm really excited. Because it said it wasn't going to come for like a month or something. Oh, it is. It is, guys, it is. It's Kiss All the Boys, Volume 3 by Shioko Kano. It's a duo title. I managed to pick this up for a good price. It was, this is the recommended retail price, so it was a little bit over recommended retail price, but not by much, and that's mainly because of the shipping that I paid. And it is brand new. There is like, I don't think it's ever been read. It's in such good, you know how like when you like open it and you're like, and it creaks? That's how it feels. So this is in absolute perfect condition. And this is very special because this is the last duo title that I need to collect for my complete out of print duo publisher collection. And I have it now. Yay! I'm so happy. This really does warm my little collecting heart. But it also is a really big deal as well, because to complete another publisher is so special. And with a really great condition. So very happy. Shioko Kano is someone that I have mixed feelings about. Like some of her works I'm really enjoying, some of her works do make me feel uncomfortable and are a little bit of the time. And Dieu is quite an old one. If we take this, it's probably my shipping information. It is, I don't think it's ever been read. 1998 this was, but then 2008 by Dieu. So this is quite an old title even by then, 1998 as well, very old. So it's of a certain time period. But oh my goodness, I'm so excited to have this. It means I have no more Dieu to get. Every single Dieu title. Oh yay! I'll have to put confetti and stuff on. So yeah, very excited, very happy. This is a really good day because it means I have a complete Yarichin Bitch Club, and I have a complete Kiss All the Boys as well, the 3-volume series, and also a complete J set. I have complete in blue, the Tokyopop Defunct Boys Love imprint. I have a complete 801 media, which is also really good. I am very close to completing Doki Doki. Oh, so close. Oh, so close. I am close to completing Kitty Media. That's 1 volume, which I don't want and I don't want to read, but still, that would be a complete set. And I'm whittling down my June manga ones as well. Yeah, feels good. This is a big deal for me, and I have to pat myself on the back. So give me lots of love and congratulations in the comments, because oh my goodness, this is a big deal. It's been years, but I did it. I did it, guys. We did it, Joe. We did it. It makes me feel really good. So yeah. Oh, and more books to read. Yay! Okay, so I have read 2 books so far for this next installment of 1330. So this is book Manga 11, Manga 12. I start with Same Difference by Nozomu Hiragi. This was actually translated by Jocelyn Allen, which I was a little surprised at just because of how it was reading. This was printed in May 2012, but was originally 2011 in Japan, So yeah, you can see the original title, Dochi Dochi, same difference, Dochi Dochi. This, it doesn't have #1 written on it. I'm just gonna say that now. This is actually a longer running series and they only printed the first volume. So once again, this is bizarre individual. Once again, this is one where you'll get some kind of story, but you don't get the full story because she did actually, the mangaka did actually create more for this story, and this story actually became quite popular. I think I read this when I first got it, but I couldn't remember, so I put it down as unread so that I could reread it and remind myself. But in the deep dark recesses of my mind and my memory, I feel like I was disappointed the first time I read it, and the second reading definitely bore that out. It's very surface level, it's very shallow. There's definitely some problem with like following the story at times. I didn't necessarily always follow what was going on. It kind of felt a bit like, what? And so I know that Jocelyn Allen is an amazing translator, so I know that that isn't from the English side of it, it's probably from the Japanese. The fact that this became so popular is because this was a fairly new work from Nozomu Hiragi, and the art style was very particular and peculiar to that mangaka, and so it became quite popular in that respect. But the story itself is like there's nothing happens. So we have two supposedly elite men who work in a tower block, and it's a twin tower block, Tower A and Tower B, and then they've got this like connecting thing in the middle. Ozaki and Tsuburaya. Tsuburaya reminds me of another character from something else. So anyway, one of them gets a crush on the other. They're supposed to be incredibly hot and sexy. It's like a sex love comedy, but it falls flat because it's not funny. I mean, that's the main thing. Like, I can read some of the most ridiculously inane, full of sexual assault kind of sex comedies, and they're sex comedies as in, is this really funny when you're making sexual assault a joke? But I can still laugh at some of them. I can still see that there is comedy in that. Whereas this, I don't know. I never laughed once. So there's a couple of things, and it's all about like, oh, which one of them's gonna top, and it's so kind of meh. I don't find it interesting or entertaining, and nothing happened. There was no emotional connection to any of the characters. There was no depth to the characters. There was nothing for me to get hold of and go, okay, that's why I like this character, or this is why I hate this character. It was just so surface. I mean, I think the characters that I liked the most were their workmates, like like the old geezers. You know, or the office ladies. They were the funnier characters. I found them amusing, or at least funny to look at. But never actually the main characters, and so it does fall flat on that. That these so-called elite characters have no chemistry. And then there was another little extra that was here. It was about a guy who makes friends with a boy in his class who happens to be a twin, and so he introduces him to the other twin, and it becomes sort of like, who will he choose, because it turns out they're all gay. Spoiler alert, he chose the baseball boy, because they show it to you on the very first page. So there's absolutely no tension whatsoever throughout this whole thing, because you already know who's going to end up together. And then there's a little extra at the end, so that she could actually show some sex. Because in most of this, there's like a couple of kisses and that's it. There was nothing. There was no tension. There was no build-up. There was nothing. This is the definition of a yaoi, if we are talking about the derogatory sense of no climax, no nothing. Because this just is disappointing. So it's really disappointing because Jocelyn Allen translated it, and I would think, oh, Almost everything she translates has some depth of feeling. This has next to nothing. And I don't know if it would change in the later volumes, but it certainly is that case for volume 1. And the second book, this manga, Endless Comfort by Sakuya Sakura, almost has the exact same problem in that it is surface. It's so shallow. And the problem with this is that it's actually dealing with some heavy emotional issues like child sexual assault or bereavement and grief, child neglect. Some characters have unrequited feelings, or they have requited feelings but they can't be with the person for whatever reason. So these are kind of heavy topics. You'd think that it would be an emotional story. It's so fucking surface level. There was almost no depth. And I don't know what it is. Maybe it's me, I'm just not feeling anything. Maybe I have no feelings at the moment, which sometimes happens when I just feel dead inside. But oh my god, this left me feeling dead inside. And I'm like, no, because I could read something else and feel like, yeah, this is perfect. So unfortunately, this was not a hit. The great thing about it was that there was all these Great Danes, and I loved the Great Danes being drawn in a book. It was great. It was all about a man who comes back to his fancy Western-style house after living 2 years in Hong Kong for the 2-year anniversary since his mother's death. His mother left him the house and the staff and the Great Danes, and he just has been off working, and so he hasn't come back to the house and have to actually confront his feelings of loss and grief. The fact that his mother was always sick and ill and had a very bad immune system, and so as a child he wasn't allowed to spend a lot of time with her because there was always the chance that she would catch something and it would develop into a worse condition. And so he has, feelings of grief, but also of loss and of neglect, but also of feelings of relief and feelings of guilt and all of that. And yet it's so surfacely done that, I'm like, okay, whatever. It's like a shrug of there's nothing. I don't feel any emotional connection to this character whatsoever. The other one here on the cover is who he ends up having an emotional and sexual relationship with. And he's had to deal with sexual assault from a stepfather, and it was kind of done like you feel like, but there's no actual emotional connection to these characters. I feel nothing. There was one character who was introduced here, Yuki, and he is his ex-boyfriend, but also he's in love with his boss, and his boss is kind of in love with him, but his boss is an absolute douchebag. He's married with kids. He has both male and female lovers on the side, and he knows that his secretary is in love with him, that he also feels the most connection to him, and yet they have no relationship other than teetering on the edge. So he keeps him in limbo, and he has him around all the time. And I was like, this is so fucking toxic. And yet it's never addressed at all throughout the whole book. So I'm like, okay, is there a part 2 of this? Is there a second book that's their story that we just don't have in English? So once again, we're not getting the full story here. It's very surface and we're not being told anything. So yeah, these two were very disappointing. Do not recommend either of them for fun. They're not fun. So I'm going to move on to my next ones anyway. Hopefully, fingers crossed, better luck with them. So these are the next two that I'm going to read. I think I've actually read Honey Smile. And I think I read it when I was also reading Honey Pancakes or something. But I can't remember what it was about. So I'm going to read it and then it's definitely going to get put down as read. And the other one is one that I haven't read ever. and that's Yakuza Cafe, which I assume is going to be a really quick read. But I do have another cup of coffee here, and I just wanted to show, look what I'm eating. Oh, so bad. Reese's Nutrageous. I'm so excited. Why am I so excited about a chocolate bar? I just have the feeling for it. I really need a wee bit of sweet pick me up, and it has to be a chocolate bar, and I haven't had one in ages, so I'm excited about it. So yeah, these are the two that I'm gonna give a wee read now. Okay, so I have finished reading Honey Smile. I'm kind of wrapped up in bed, and it is later than it's not that late. It's only about 9, but I'm kind of hungry. Anyway, Honey Smile by Yura Miyazawa. I just read this, and I have to say I was a little bit like disappointed because in my mind I was like, I'm pretty sure I read this. I'm pretty sure I did, but I can't remember anything about it. And so I read it and I was like, yeah, no, I didn't remember any of this. Then I thought, but I'm pretty sure I've reviewed it as well. So I went and I looked and I found that I did review it. So I have a whole other video. I will put a link to that. It was a hot drink day 12, I think, for my 25 days of manga for December 2020, because I have done a 25 days of manga in 2019. I didn't do one in 2021, I don't think, anyway. I can't remember actually. But yeah, so quite funny because I went back and watched my old video, and everything that I say about it I agree 100%. Especially on the end when I say that it was perfectly fine, it was kind of cute, it was fair enough, but it was probably quite forgettable. That if you asked me in 2 months' time if I remembered if I'd even read it, let alone what it was about, I might not be able to tell you. And so that just goes to show it wasn't 2 months, it was 2 years. It's been 2 years since I read this. And did I remember? No. Did I remember that I'd even read it? No. Definitely getting put down in my read pile so that I can be like, I have no idea what that's about, but I know that I've read it, so don't ask me to read it again. Well, I can put it on my shelf anyway, it's fine. You know, it's like, it's on the red shelf, you know, it's fine. So yeah, if you want a more in-depth, detailed review, watch the video. It's cute, it's funny. It's funny for me anyway to watch something that I made 2 years ago. And to watch all of them actually. I think it's funny looking back on 2020 because for me it feels like the lost year. 2020 was kind of the lost year. But actually when I look back on certain points, I was incredibly productive. I did 25 videos in a row day after day, and I think pat on the back, you did well there. You read the books and you did the reviews and you edited the videos and you put the videos up. Well done, you. And then I was remembering, oh, that was when, you know, this happened and that happened, and oh yeah, 2020. Yay, 2020. Anyway, the next one is Yakuza Cafe. But I think I'm gonna get something to eat, even though it's late at night, because my stomach's gurgling. So I might make something quickly just to fill my belly up, so, and go to bed. I'll leave this for tomorrow maybe. Okay, so I just got another package today, and I have no idea what it is. Honestly, I'm like, what did I buy? I'm sure we'll find out. Oh, it's more than one. First things first. Yay! Volume 4 of Hijujime My Hero, which means that I can now read it. Yay! I'm very happy about this. Because I have up to volume 11, I think. I think volume 12 has come out, so I can maybe pick that one up again. But so far, yay! I'm very happy. Okay, so on to the next one. This is Boys of the Dead, and this is a Kuma title. So I'm kind of excited about this. I kind of wanted to get this for a manga freakathon. I did think it would be interesting. because I have read a few like zombie-esque books or short stories in collections. So yeah, that's another one. Boys of the Dead. Very happy with that. Zombie BL. And then this is the last one because there was 3. Is Replay, and this is a Tokyo Pop title. Also very happy that I got this one as well. I don't think I've read this one, so yeah, happy with this one too. It's boys who played baseball together. Who doesn't like baseball boys? So yeah, another one to add. Woo! So yeah, that's the 3 that I got, all from different publishers, all completely different, but I can add them and maybe get them read pretty soon as well. So it is the morning and I finished Yakuza Cafe by Shinano Omi. This is it from 2011 or something? I think it is. We've got September 2011. Yeah, so we've got the first 3 chapters are the story, and then we've got a little extra, and then a little mini one at the end. So yeah, we've got Shinri, who is the estranged son of a mob boss, who decides to disband his clan, the Fujisaki clan, when he realizes that his estranged son is now on his own because his mother and his grandmother have passed away, and so his father, the mob boss, is his only living relative, and so he decides, as a mob boss, he's going to disband the clan and invite his son home and try and be the father that he couldn't be while the rest of the family was alive. And so he comes home. It's a comedy, it's a sex comedy type thing. Just putting that out there. It sounds really deep, but this is a sex comedy. So he arrives and they're running a Yakuza cafe, hence the name. And then he meets this man who calls him young master because he's like, I'm a what? I'm a what? It's all very Yakuza-esque. And the cafe's not doing so well, but yeah, they find out that Shinri knows a lot about tea, and so he can join in. But he does end up having a great reconciliation with his father, and he gets on really well with all of the ex-Yakuza who are still very Yakuza-esque. And then he meets the 2 main men there, Zaoji and Mikado. So Mikado's the one with the dark hair, and he's got a dragon on his back, and if you touch his dragon, he goes crazy, and that's not a euphemism, but it should be. So yeah, anyway, it turns out that Mikado has been keeping an eye on Shinri, and they actually knew each other, but he unfortunately does touch his dragon, and Mikado basically just, I don't want to use the R word, but that happens. And, but he obviously doesn't mind it because this is yaoi and fiction, and it's totally fine when that happens. Anyway, the 3 of them, kind of work through the issues that the cafe have. There's someone from the past. It's very silly. I like how they resolve the issue with the drama at the cafe by just saying, it was a performance, did you enjoy it? And all of the girlies are like, oh, that was great. That was like a proper like Yakuza battle going on in the middle of the cafe. So yeah, the spin-off story, The Crimson Seal, was quite sad because it was Zaoji's story, and he was a young man and in love with Yakuza, and unfortunately he was killed and so Zaoji decides to actually become a Yakuza. And that was kind of like, oh, that's why he's alone, which is sad, which is not what you usually get for a lot of BL. I say that and then think about Hybrid Child, and oh my god, oh, there's a reason why Hybrid Child is as popular as it is. And then the last little um chapter was just the dad being, hey, I'm worried about Shinri. If anyone's hurt him. There was a couple of things like when the dad, the mob boss, comes out to be part of the performance and stop the Yakuza battle in the middle of the cafe, he takes off his top and shows his phoenix. And so he ends up getting a little fan club. And so whenever he pops his head into the cafe, people are like, "Oh, it's the boss! It's the boss! It's the boss!" It's like an old man, old Yakuza boss fan club. It was very kind of silly and quick. It's not anything fabulous. I don't think I'll necessarily forget it because it's all in the title. So if I see Yakuza Cafe, I'm gonna think, oh, it's a cafe run by Yakuza. And that's pretty much it. So, it does exactly what it says on the tin, as we say in the UK. Which is, yeah, it's alright. I'll see what I've got to read next. So I have finished another one. This is Luna by Maria Lovett, and it is a Boom Studio one, suggested for mature readers. I think so, yes. But it is what it is. This was really interesting. It was like being on an acid trip. It was very interesting. It's set in the late 60s, so the start of the flower power era, and this first image is kind of indicative of the kind of art style, but also of the story itself. There's definitely things going on in here, and that's all to do with the story as well as a whole. It's really interesting. It's about a woman called Teresa Luna, and she is in the desert. Her car has crashed or something like that. She's picked up by a group of people called the Family of the Sun, and they live in the desert, but there seems to be a cave that has a lot of greenery around it, and so they're able to just live there. And they have a very weird sort of cult feeling about it. Like there's one man and 4 women, and Teresa joins them, but she kind of feels like the place is important, but she's trying she's in search of who she is, and she has all these dreams and visions, and it's all foretold, it's all meant to be, and it's a really quick read, but I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting, and the art style is really interesting, and the fact that it's all in color. I really enjoyed these scenes of them starting to obviously get high. And it's like one person, but they're dancing, and so you see 3 versions of them or 2 versions of them, and it's it's really interesting. I really thought it was a kind of unique story, but still it has shades of like folklore and folk tales in many different places in the world. So yeah, definitely has this sort of spiritualist aspect of it, gods and monsters and things like that, reincarnation and spirits, souls, all of that kind of stuff. But it was very, very beautifully drawn, very interesting as well. So yeah, Luna. It's one that I picked up in a charity shop for, was it 50p or £1? Something like that. So yeah, quite happy about that. I do have this one here, Replay, which I'm really happy to have. I don't think I spent very much on it. I think I got it for a really good deal, which I'm happy about because it's Tokyo Pop. So yeah, I might give this one a wee read next. So I've got some kind of spicy potato salad and some spicy chicken, and I'm gonna have a wee read of Replay. So I have just finished reading Replay by Saki Tsukahara. I've got a bit of wee fire going and feeling all wrapped up because the weather's not been brilliant. So it's all rainy and stuff here. This was really cute and sweet. What did it say? It was published in when 2020, but I haven't got it for ages, so I'm glad that I finally did. It was a cute, sweet story about baseball, high schoolers, and they just are, third years. They're in their final game. One's the pitcher, one's the catcher, and they end up losing the game, and that's how it starts. And they just have to make their way through their third year, studying for their exams and trying to figure out what they want to do, and also how they feel about each other and how much they're telling each other. And it was just cute and sweet, and it was just nice how it went. It was a good little story. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I like the art style as well. It was very funny, the little chibis and stuff, and the comedic moments, as well as all the gentle moments. A lot of boys with their shirts off. So this did remind me of Haikyuu. just how much. But the whole being in there, just getting undressed and stuff like that. Lots of tension as well building. It was nice. I mean, some of this, that's just lovely, isn't it? Lovely. They are teenage boys, so I can't perv on them too much. But there's something about baseball, it's seishun. It's all about the last hurrah of youth in Japan. That's your third year. And because I, taught in a high school in Japan, it's very much something that, you get experience of being around all of these boys who just put in so much effort and energy. And then as soon as they play their final game, it's like they kind of feel a bit lost. They don't really know what to do themselves, especially with their big bodies that they've honed through the years, and they suddenly are like, oh, I don't know what to do. So they start playing and having fun and trying to figure out what they want to do with their life. So yeah, this was fairly accurate in many aspects. But yeah, it was a nice one. I know Saki Tsukahara has another one coming out through Tokyo Pop. I don't think it's out yet anyway, but I think there's going to be one. So I'll have a wee look out for that, because this was lovely. It's very beautiful artwork. I do like this artwork on the front. I kind of feel like the coach, these two should have had their own spin-off. So I don't know if there has been a spin-off, but it kind of feels like they should have their story. Where are we reading their story? I was convinced that we were going to get to about this point, and then there'd be like their story at the end, but it wasn't. It was just the story all the way through. I kind of feel like, well, where's their volume? I'll read that. Anyway, so yeah, I've read this. I'll see what I'm going to read next. So I was just doing a little bit of investigating, and I don't know why I thought Volume 4 was the last one. Volume 5 is coming out next year, so I'll just go over to my wee pile. So I can read Volume 1, 2, 3, and 4 of Yarichin Butch Club this week maybe, because it doesn't matter. I thought I'll keep it, and maybe Katie might want to do a buddy read, but I just want to read it now. And also, I'm going to have to wait for Volume 5 anyway. Why did I think Volume 4 was the last one? Oh, well, now I'm going to read this now. This Volume 2 has been sitting in my drawer for like 2 years. More than 2 years? No, just 2 years, surely. Maybe more. 2.5 years, something like that. It's been just dying to be read. So yeah, I might just read some Yarichin Pitch Club. Okay, so I've got a little break here. The plastic is coming off. Woo! I'm so happy and excited that I got this. So. Time to get reading. Of course I've watched it, so I'm kind of excited. Yay! So I've got the kettle on the go to boil. There's going to be a Grand Prix weekend now, so quite enjoying that. It's going to be exciting. Last one. And I have read the first 2 volumes. So I started this one. I finished it last night. It follows quite a lot of the animated version, so it was quite accurate. There was, I think, one of the funniest lines, I think, in a BL is this one here, when is it Kashima? He says, "I'm a top." Turns to him like it's the most exciting thing in the world. Oh, it just made me laugh so much. This is a comedy. It's so nicely drawn because it is Ogareta Tanaka, and you know the characters if you've watched the animated version. There's a bit of extra. And I finally got to read. I started it last night and then finished it this morning. Lovely colour images of Yaguchi. Yeah-chan. But I think in this one he's Yaguchi. And that's what the first story is about. The difference between him and the personality he portrays. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I enjoyed it. It was good to get to this end section and wonder where it's going to go, and all of the little stories. It is very obviously sex heavy, but it's, yeah, you have to just suspend disbelief because it's not like this would actually occur. But I'm invested, so invested in the characters, and I know them because of the animated version, so yeah. I'm really excited because I have no idea. Because this first one, obviously, and I think maybe a little bit of this one is in the anime. I'm not entirely sure how much of the anime was in it, but I'll need to rewatch. But yeah, these 2 volumes, I'm like, I have no idea what's going to happen. There's definitely, it's good to have the character introductions again. You get quite advanced, big, chunky ones at the end here. There's obviously something. Itome and Akami's relationship is just weird. What happened to Tamura? It's abuse. It's abuse. And I'm laughing, but that's just how it is. And it's kind of that weird, like, I know some people don't like certain BLs because it is, like, if you thought about it in real life happening, it would be horrendous. But the fact is, it's not, it's fiction. So we can just say it's fine. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes when you read these things, you're like, nope, nope. But yeah, Yarichin Bitch Club. It's because it's so sparkly and colourful and bright, and yet it just get up to proper full-on sex shenanigans. But the plastic's gonna have to come off these 2, and I'm gonna read these today. So it is it the next day or is it the day after? I don't know. But I have read the light's going. It was great this morning, but it's not so much. So I've read the first two and then I read the second two volumes. I'm gonna mention this anyway. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a printing error or not so much a printing error, but a binding error with this one. I don't know if you can see if it's going to focus. It didn't quite catch the first couple of pages in the glue for binding, and then of course when it was sliced, it sliced off half of a sort of speech bubble. So unfortunately, but it only happened for like the first couple of pages, and then it was fine afterwards. So yeah. That was a bit of a pain, but it didn't actually detract, and I could work out what was going on, so it was fine. So yeah, it's up to the point where they're just getting on. We're getting all of the different stories that were happening. This particular volume seemed to have a lot of Shikatani's story and what happened to him. There's a little bit more development between Yaguchi and Kashima and their history and relationship. And of course we've got Tono, who is still failing his exams. Yaguchi has become more honest about who he is around Kashima, Tono, and Takuma. Takuma. And then they all went to this sort of summer inn for a bit of a summer break. And we get a little bit more development. So yeah, it's kind of ticking along. There's still a lot more development to go, so I can definitely see it. Yes, this is not complete in 4 volumes. I was like, why? What? So yeah, the 5th one's going to come out sometime. Is it March or April? Something like that. And I don't think even with the 5th volume that it can be complete. So I don't know how many volumes this series is going to end up having, but I'm glad that I've done this because I'm pretty convinced that even with a 5th volume it's not enough, so I'm fine with reading this as it is. It did make me think last night. I thought, well, what am I going to say about it? You get all the different characters, and this is very like sex heavy. It's very controversial. A lot of people, apparently young'uns on the internet, find it problematic. And I think they find it problematic due to the sexual content. And I also think that what this series does, which doesn't always get highlighted in a lot of Western media, and when it does get highlighted in Western media, then it's, once again, problematic, controversial. It becomes super popular, but it also becomes super vilified. And that's because what this series does is it sort of portions out 2 aspects of life and says that they can occur at the same time, which doesn't always necessarily align with Western, and by Western you can read traditionally Christian and therefore in a sense repressed sexual desire. So the emotional and the sexual is something that I think is really interesting. As someone who's asexual, I'm not sure how aromantic or romantic I am. I don't know where I am on the spectrum. And that's something that we as a society are talking a lot more about, is asexuality, sexuality, aromanticism, and romanticism. So these are spectrums. And you can be on one end of the spectrum and on the other end of the spectrum in something else. Where you are can exist and coexist at the same time. This is me getting really deep about Yarichin Bitch Club. But I do think it's important because this is the kind of work that works well in Japan and is presented in Japanese cultural literature and in other Asian countries. I mean, I wouldn't say it's just an Asian thing, but it's certainly in cultures that aren't necessarily tainted. That's a really heavy word to use as well, by religion. and religious thought. It's as though we have a more freer understanding of humanity. This is me getting really deep. What about Yarichi Bitch Club? Okay, so my point is that in this story, we have all of these characters, and all of these characters, each and every one of them, has emotional and romantic feelings for other people. But they also have, in a separate box, sexual contact and sexual enjoyment with other people or those people that they have emotional connections with. Both can be true at the same time. And that's something that in Western society is frowned upon. For example, if someone is absolutely in love with someone, whether it is that they're in love with someone who is of the in a relationship with someone else, they're unrequited, they're pining, or they are still in love with someone they had a relationship with. You know, for whatever reason, they might be in love with someone who is unattainable for a sexual and romantic relationship. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they can switch off the sexual needs or wants or desires. And this is the kind of work that elevates that thought and puts it front and center. It's as though saying, you can be in love with someone and you can have sex with someone else. And that doesn't fit well with Western Christian ways of thinking, because we as a society, as a Western society, have had the indoctrination of the idea that you are with one person only, you know, the sanctity of marriage, the purity of feminine virtue and virginity, all of these things. As much as we might like to think that we're modern and we have a different way of, you know, modern way of thinking about love and sex, it's not. We still have that underlying. I mean, Catholic guilt is still there, whether you're a Catholic still or not. You're always going to have that Catholic guilt, you know, stabbing you in the back when you think, well, I wouldn't mind just having a sexual dalliance with someone without strings. And that's something that this work kind of puts front and center. Can you engage in sexual activity and still have an emotional or romantic inclination towards someone else? And this is what this work kind of examines. And I think, you know, critically reviewing and critically reading your media is important, but being critical isn't necessarily always important. I would say this is interesting. This makes me think. This makes me think of other works. One of my other favorites is, of course, Yoneda Ko. Even So I Will Love You. Is it Tenderly? Tenderly? And one of the characters has been in love with. Is it Onoda? You're only Onoda. He has been in love with Onoda for years, but he always felt like he was straight, and so he didn't have a chance. And so he engaged in sexual activities for sexual desire and gratification with multiple other partners, because that's the life he has. That's the hand he feels he was dealt. And so I think that that's something that it makes me make a connection. So from this work that people will, you know, lots of people will say some terrible things about it, because they're probably 14. You might hate it as well, and you're not 14. That's cool too. Whatever. But for me, I'm like, maybe be critical, but understand the criticism. And I think this has got criticism for no good reason, because you haven't really engaged with the media, and you need to engage with the media first. Anyway, that's just me thinking that. So I actually really enjoyed it. Ogaretsu Tanaka has beautiful artwork. I think the way that she can draw and tell stories is emotionally deep and emotionally affecting. And at the same time, she's an idiot. She does stupid comedy, sex comedy things. I mean, what she's talking about, a lot of this is trauma of emotional repression and you know, interactions, human interactions. So as much as people will say, Nyali Chin Bitch Club, because it's got bitch in the title, if you I loved it. I really do. I really do. I think it's beautiful and it was a really nice series, and I'm kind of gonna enjoy reading the rest of it because it does point out something that in Japanese manga gets presented doesn't always get presented in Western media. You know, how many times, I mean, if you're a woman and you enjoy sex, but you're not in love with anyone, you're constantly referred to as a bit of a slut. And why is that? Think about it. It's because in Western society, we are taught consistently to repress our sexual desires and to not be honest about them. Anyway, so yeah, 4 volumes of the Yarichin Bitch Club. I did replay, which was beautiful and sweet and cute. It was just a nice, sweet one. I really liked it. By Tokyo Pop. And then I had Luna by Mario Lovett, which was really interesting, like an acid trip, but a beautiful, interesting folk tale kind of. Very felt like it was rooted within the earth and the stories the earth tells, which I really liked. And then we had 4 June manga titles of, when I say varying success, no, they were all pretty unsuccessful. They were pretty all unsuccessful. I didn't really love any of them. They'd maybe be between a 2.5 and a 3 star out of 5. Not anything good. None above a 3 for sure. None above a 3. So yeah, very different, but all kind of surface. They all felt surface. These were all the kind that, just like Same Difference or Honey Smile, ask me in 2 weeks. In fact, ask me right now what they were about. Can I remember? No, not really. So yeah, these are my stack. Pretty good. Should put them that way. So my 1330 is carrying on. I'm going to try and see if I can do another 1330. Today I'm going to go back to a buddy read, and we're going to do a buddy read, Katie and I, for what was it, September, that we didn't get done. And we're going to try and finish that one. So I'm going to start that one, and there's 4 volumes in Challengers, so that's going to be my next one to read. But yeah, this is it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'm 365801. I make videos about BL manga, yaoi, male romance, and all that good stuff. I've enjoyed my 1330 so far. If you're doing your 1330, let me know what's the best read you've done so far this month. We're 2/3 of the way through. So I've done 20. Yay! Yeah, so I hope everyone's taking care of themselves, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!